Welcome to Wise Beyond Bitcoin, where you come for education, analysis, and opportunities in blockchain and crypto. My name is Lucas.
And my name is Ryan.
And as we've talked about, we're ready to pump out more content on the how-tos, how to get involved, and not just the theory, but let's get into the application. And I suppose when you want to get involved in DeFi, one of the earliest ways to build value in these ecosystems is to provide liquidity. You hear of LP tokens and farming and providing liquidity in DEXs and decentralized exchanges. Well, what does that mean? How does that work?
Right. Where do you begin? Well, I think Uniswap was one of the early favorites for kind of creating a place for Web3 wallets to do what you're saying, provide liquidity, interact, buy, sell, swap. And but there's an issue with that, right? Do you want to maybe get into what are the commonalities? You're seeing a bunch of tokens on that list, but what are the commonalities among them, and what are the limitations?
Yeah. So what makes this beautiful decentralized ecosystem so valuable and so incredible is that all these pairs you see are created by people such as yourself, people all over the world who take their tokens, their Ethereum or what have you, and they go lock it up and allow other people to use it. And in exchange for letting other people use it, they get fees, small fees that are generated every time a swap or exchange is made. And so often here we say you'll often see where the swap is for a decentralized exchange, and they'll have votes, governance tokens, often for the people who are a part of the exchange to see certain additions or changes, charts, because everything's run on a transparent public ledger blockchain where you can see how much volume is locked, how much
Current
daily
prices,
all that good stuff. And of course, generally the way these pools work is that whatever you offer in one token, you have to provide 50% an equal value of the other token, right? Generally speaking.
Yes, you're putting together an amount to invest. It's split between a pair of tokens in an equal ratio.
Now, in the beginning, Ethereum, Uniswap is the earliest example and pioneer of decentralized exchanges, AMMs, automated market makers. But right now, the gas fees to do transactions on the Ethereum network it's extremely costly, hundreds of dollars. And it's really just priced out a lot of activity on Ethereum, which is why layer 2 solutions, Polygon, and other layer 1 networks like Fantom, Solana, Cardano, Avalanche, and
Avalanche,
of course, Cosmos, Osmosis, which we'll get into soon. But it's really, they've really come to shine and shown the value in the bottleneck of transactions, why we need more lanes on the highway. So
yeah, I mean, it's really cool that you can basically swap out of any ERC20 on this one website, right? You connect your MetaMask wallet and you can go from ETH to Aave. You can go to stablecoins like DAI or USDC. There's a whole long list of different tokens that are all interchangeable on Uniswap, and they all are derived from a similar architecture, right? And this is called the ERC20 protocol. And it brings them into communication with each other. Engine is a favorite of mine. You can get Bitcoin even. It's wrapped Bitcoin, but it's a Bitcoin wrapped and on the Ethereum network. But the problem, like as Lucas alluded to, is that these are all on the Ethereum network. So you pay Ethereum gas fees for every one of these swaps, and that goes up when you start to interact with pools and contracts and things like that. It can become even more expensive. So it's a limitation with Uniswap and the ERC20 space in general. And that's kind of why alternative ecosystems and like Osmosis and the IBC network, that's why they are growing and so popular right now. Is you can do the very same thing. You can provide liquidity, you can lend, you can borrow, and you can swap, but you can do so with much less fees. It's almost free.
Yeah, and we'll leave links to all these places below so that people can experiment for themselves and see the difference, as you were mentioning before the video, to see the difference in cost between Avalanche or Fantom or
Uniswap.
Osmosis, pardon. So, but the reality is that currently, because of how inexpensive it is to transact on the Osmosis IBC chain, it's just a great platform to show. Whether you go to Uniswap, whether you go to different DEXs, which we'll show at the end of this video, the process is the same, and a lot of the tips that we're going to kind of point out, what you want to look for, are going to be the same in the different protocols as well. So without taking too much more time, let's kind of go into the pools section, which is generally where you want to go when you create liquidity, right? The liquidity pools, and talk about this APR, these APRs. And when people see APR for providing liquidity in a pool, what does that mean? If they're staking Atom or in this case, Akash and Atom, and it's an APR of 77.99, does that mean that they're getting that return on Akash and Atom?
Right. No, well, first thing to mention is that APRs, they don't include compounding interest. So that's just a flat interest rate. So that's one thing. But the second thing is that these rates are variable. So that's not a guaranteed promise thing that will change. And as people leave or enter, and as the fees and everything change, and as the value of the underlying assets that are in the pool change, that will change, right?
Right.
So you can't bank on that being a year at that rate. But you can say that if the rate today were to be steady for the next 360 however many days, that would be the equivalent APR. So that's something to know. And but the other thing is to know about, we want to touch on impermanent loss a little bit and talk about how the rates vary based on the risk you're taking, because that's an important tip.
That's
right?
important. It's also important to know that when you're on these protocols, you're getting paid in the governance token of that protocol. So what you're receiving is Osmo tokens. You're not receiving back 80% increase in your Ethereum or your Akash network and your Atom token. Right. You're receiving it, and like you said, it's based on the current prices of the Osmo token, the current activity going on. And yes, of course, impermanent loss is definitely something to think about. And I guess while you talk about impermanent loss, I'll mention that this is not financial advice. We're just sharing educational information. We're all learning how to be a part of this together. We look at this. This is all used for education and really being a part of new networks that are at their foundation of their building blocks. And it's really, when you understand how DeFi works, it's because people are putting in a couple dollars and a little bit here and a little bit there all over the world. That's what allows these beautiful decentralized banks, ecosystems to exist. They're actually grassroots created and done mathematically through these algorithms that keep you the owner of your private keys. When you're supporting a network, you're still the one who's the custodian, and you're giving up use in a limited function. And in return, you get an LP token, which is a fraction of the value of that pool. So it's the safety, the security, the way blockchain operates, and how these exist. Is fun and beautiful. And on top of that,
let's talk about impermanent loss a little bit, right?
Do it, brother.
So what's going on here? When you pool liquidity, you are, like you said earlier, you're splitting your investment across two assets, and they're equal, and they're held together in that ratio in the pool. And ideally they move together. So if that happens, then everything, then you're not really at risk for impermanent loss. But it's when they move separate from each other. So one asset grows and the other doesn't, or one grows a lot faster than the other. And so what happens is that the underlying, the ratio gets out of whack So one of the one that grew is going to be reduced in the pool. So your fraction of that in the pool will be reduced. And so this automatically kind of adjusts to maintain a certain ratio. And so and then the consequence is that the value of that investment could fall relative to what it would have been if you would have held it, right, and not committed to a pool. But the idea is hopefully that the gains that you've made and the interest and the fees that you've made on the other side offset the risk of that impermanent loss. And one way to mitigate the risk of impermanent loss is to look for pools of assets that you think are going to grow together. They have a higher chance of growing in tandem versus one, being growing and the other not. And then the other thing you want to look at is if you're pooling together stable coins, if both sides of the LP provision exchange if those are both stable coins, you're going to get a much lower return. The APR will be much lower, but you're also not having to risk the chance of impermanent loss because stable coins are, as by definition, they trade in a very, very, very narrow band. So the risk of that loss is very small, but you're also not going to get compensated with as much of a return either. So it's your return and risk. There's trade-offs involved, but it's just important. It's a good one thing to know, just kind of what to look at and why the APR might be so much lower on one versus the other. And well, it's because it's not as risky. So if risk is something you're concerned about, then consider even 43%, like on pool, right? That pool with the E Euro and the UST, 43% is still a very healthy return, especially if you're not taking a bunch of risk. So it's just something to be aware of.
Yeah, it's also great that you point out you can provide value to the ecosystem without being in very risky projects. There are stable coins, UST, which we're a huge fan of, and the stable coins being developed on other networks, which we will do a video upcoming. But decentralized stable coins, knowing the inherent risk with USDC and Tether and regulation, having decentralized stable coins are a beautiful foundation to the ecosystems of these exchanges. And like you said, if you can actually keep your value in stable coins, you don't have to invest in the risky Bitcoin or Ethereum or Cosmos. If you want to keep it in stable coins, you can still lock up your stable coins and earn a high rate of return comparative to what's out there in traditional finance. And that's because you're adding value. By doing that, you're allowing other people to benefit from the value. And that's what this is all about. This is what blockchain does. It lets your wallet, your address, even if it's just a small fraction of a percent, every time that pool, every time that service, that banking system is used, you directly are given an interest, a rate of return.
And in exchange, you're helping provide liquidity that makes those instantaneous swaps possible, right? Because there's no third party intermediary that's taking the other side. They're just matching up buyers and sellers. And in order to do that, there has to be this supply of liquidity to make those connections, right? And that's what providing liquidity is. That's the point of it, is to finance the liquidity fund that makes these swaps possible. So there's a huge gain in the utility of DeFi, and to the extent that you can swap easily in and out of these assets with low spreads. That's the key here, is because when the liquidity dries up, the spreads widen, right? And then it starts to become a big deal to get out of things at the price that's being quoted. So yeah, this is a huge deal to as far as adding utility to prices and markets.
I was going to say, speaking of liquidity and what else to look out for in these pools, you're going to benefit more, obviously, from pools that are getting more activity, because when you provide liquidity, what you're earning is a portion, a small percentage of the fees every time an exchange is made. So if there's no exchanges going on in that pool that you're a part of, then there's no fee being generated. It's just sitting there. So one of the features when you're joining pools to look out for is which of these pools have increased volume, right? So obviously here on the Osmosis, and I guess another reason why we chose the Osmosis chain is because it's the first decentralized exchange connecting native IBC coins. So it's remarkable how much has been built up in just the short time it's been around. Now it's got Luna, Terra, it's got the UST, and now euros. But there's it's beautiful because this is not, like you mentioned earlier, tokens being built on Ethereum. These are individual blockchains in their own right. And when you acquire one of these, you're acquiring the native token. It can be channeled over without a third party bridge, and you go right onto that network and you have that native token. So that's a neat feature. We're going to show you live how to provide liquidity and how easy it is. And of course, with the IBC Osmosis platform, and how cheap it is. And this is why so many people are going to Polygon, Binance Smart Chain, Solana, Harmony One, and of course here as well, because people are looking to be able to add value to these ecosystems, provide liquidity, engage in DeFi without being priced out. I mean, shucks, like Ethereum, if you're not willing to pay a couple $100s for a gas fee, then forget about it. And that's not the way it was a year ago.
Right. Yeah, that's another way of having some backdoor gatekeeping, because how many people are able to invest, such a large amount to where that's a fraction of the tiny fraction. For most people, it prices them out, like you say. So yeah, see these alternatives, it's definitely needed, and then there's no wonder why they're growing so fast. So yeah, let's take a look. Let's see what it's like to provide liquidity to one of these pools.
All right, so there is a special pool in our heart that we saw here that we decided we would use for the example, and I guess it's so small. There's barely any liquidity, so not a lot of activity, but we are bullish on these two projects, and that's the Luna Atom pair. Thought about doing the Luna Osmo pair just because I do love just how much the Osmo Dex and network has grown and what they're providing. However, I think for the purposes of this LP provision example, at the moment of doing this, there's only $125,000 worth of liquidity. And yeah, the Luna and Atom token that's the one we're going with, right?
Yeah, that looks good to me. It's an early on the pool. That's
so and you can even find it if you scroll down, because it shows these are listed by total volume locked. You could scroll down and find out how many pages over you get to, and it's on page 4. Here we go, the Luna Atom, and it's only at the moment it's 4-hour volume is $6,920. I like that, being a Cancer, got a little 69 there, so right. Now you see here, although there are some that are different, for the most part you find LP is provided at a 50-50 rate, and to keep the math simple and easy, fortunately we see here that Luna Atom pair are 50-50. So knowing that, and we're starting with roughly 20 Osmo. Let's move out of the way here and say, okay, well, let's switch there. Often you'll see an arrow in the middle, switch between the two. If you're providing liquidity, you might have already figured that part out. And let's just split it 50-50. So let's say 10 Atom. We'll find out how cheap this is. Wow, it costs $0. Let's go even low. Let's make it extra $0. That's a IBC Osmosis life hack that you can, at the moment, bam, transaction successful, and
basically free.
And this is live action. That's how quick it was. So what was the other one we wanted to do?
Luna.
Luna. All right. So let's scroll down all these cool different chains, and boom, let's set our to 10 Luna again.
Yep.
And here we
10
go.
Osmo.
10 Osmo. That's right. Yeah, I wish 10 Luna. Oh, this time I did it for medium. I did it not the low. I did the average.
I'm trying to throw the network some love.
Yeah, exactly. Let's give it an extra 0 cents.
Mhm.
And it's already done. That's how quick we are. So now we go over to pools, and it's already updated 0.5. This is all, we have no editing. I'm sure it's hard to tell because of how clean and crisp and the high
That was real
quality
time.
of our performance and our everything going on. But there's absolutely zero editing. That's real time going on. One of the reasons we just love Osmosis and the whole ecosystem. But let's scroll down and find that it's one of the bottom pools. Luna just got added to it.
Yes.
Very bullish on Luna. Luna just got added to Osmosis. The whole Luna Terra ecosystem, the airdrops. We have a video on the airdrop specifically surrounding Luna Terra, and we've got more coming. But really, they're just I would call them a blue chip in crypto. I would go so far as to think of them as a blue chip, but
Sure.
that's from my perspective. And
It's our favorite stablecoin, considering all the potential risks for the more centralized dollar connected coins like Tether and USDC. So for sure.
So yeah, it's one of the few. It's a decentralized, and a lot of people have copied their model. You're finding a lot of other tokens that are building off of this. Have an asset that is backing
That buys, right, the buy and sell token, and then the stable.
And actually, there's a couple other decentralized stable coins that are bridging to Avalanche and Fantom that you found that we're going to be talking about.
We'll be talking about
are huge, and these are really
exciting.
I feel in the future going to really infiltrate the DeFi ecosystem. Okay, so we saw how quickly it was to trade 50-50. You've got an equal pull of both. What you see here on Osmosis is that if you're just going to set it and forget it for a while, and you're not trying to day trade, which we're not, we're just looking at adding value to these ecosystems, you can bond them for a period of time, a day, 7 days, 14 days, and had an increase on your APR, on your return. So we're going to go ahead and do that just because why not? We're here to add value to the ecosystem.
Are you going to do the 14-day?
Totally. And here we go, add liquidity. So we'll just do max Luna, and it comes out to, there we go, add liquidity. Bam, it's that fast. And we'll just do average again. I mean, it's so.
And imagine that, paying nothing to commit money to actually pool liquidity and buy and purchase LP tokens. Oh wow,
it's
efficient funds.
Yeah, let's do it again. It's good to see what it looks like real time when it doesn't work. If you want to be like, I said max, but really, if you want to make sure it works, you have to leave a little meat on the bone, I found. So if I were to just take that and just make it 0 and now go for it, just leave a little bit there. And let's see how that.
Put it on low just for your trouble.
Yeah, exactly. That was look how much trouble that was. Real time trouble. Real time.
There we go. Successful.
Wow. Okay. That was great. So, and bam, we're done. Now I have the opportunity, if I come over here, start earning, let's click on that, 14 days. It's already there in the max amount. Bond it. How much is it going to cost me to do all this smart contract work? What?
Another free transaction.
Another free. One of the real fun things, and we'll do a video on staking in the future, but one of the real fun things about this ecosystem is compound interest. You can take a reward of just $5 or $10 and you can unlock that. You can claim that stake, that reward.
That's right. Every day you can do it.
Every day, every day.
And the difference is there's a lot of protocols that the gas fees for claiming those rewards would make it to where you couldn't do it every day. It would nullify that as a strategy. And so then you don't have no ability, you lose the ability to compound, right? Because you can take Osmo, you could purchase Juno or Akash or Secret every day or every other day, and not worry about spending a bunch of money on gas fees to do that. So now you have an auto, it's not auto compounding, it's manual, but it makes a manual compounding strategy possible.
So because of these few pools that you see here, these fun educational experimental pools, there are Osmo tokens based on these APRs daily that are dropped directly into the wallet. And that Osmo that is dropped can be used to add to these pools. You can stake it directly on the Osmosis network for high staking returns, pardon me, in Osmosis, or you can take
trade
that Osmosis and you can trade it for Cosmos, for Ion, which is a mystery DAO governance token, Akash network. Do you remember?
That's the cloud.
That's the cloud. We've got Decentralized, DVPN, which is huge. I mean, that's a decentralized VPN service.
Iris, that's the NFT cross-chain platform.
Crow, which has been around for quite some time, started on the Ethereum network, but was always meant to come over. And, you know, you can get Visa cards or MasterCards for crow.com. That's crypto.com. This is their native token. Persistence, which I look forward to doing a lot more talk about this in the future, because this is their financial DApp. This is where a lot of DeFi and financial instruments for IBC network, liquid staking, NFTs, just a whole bunch of fun stuff. And
Regen, that's the climate, land, the ecology play where there's climate credit, carbon credits, and a regenerative ecosystem incentive structure. That sounds very cool.
Juno, of course, we got the Euro. Juno, a popular, robust smart contract platform that's to be interoperable smart contracts with other chains. So right now we see like smart contracts being built on one chain and then to another. But imagine here in IBC, just like there's channels of, you can build a smart contract wise application and watch that just automatically work and interoperate. And of course, you got the Luna UST. I'm just
and there's a few others that are worth looking at, but it's adding, they're adding to this ecosystem all the time. Luna and Terra is the recent addition. But what do we want to go through any others? Because we've kind of established the process, and we want to kind of highlight that, hey, guess what? If you know how to do that, you followed that, you can do this over on numerous other protocols, whether it's Fantom or Avalanche, or go on.
Yeah. So Secret Network, if you like this kind of content, the how-tos, how to get involved and take your stuff off of Coinbase and some of these centralized exchanges and really be interactive and really add value to the ecosystems, as you see in our airdrop videos, and we've got more airdrop videos coming, but we feel that there's a lot of value and reward for supporting these and building value in these ecosystems. Both, you know, just emotionally and being a part of it, spiritually, that, but you know what, oftentimes there's real physical airdrops that go to your wallet. There are actual tangible benefits for supporting these ecosystems. So it's fun to learn and be a part of it. Mention again, it's not financial advice. Whatever you're putting in, expect to lose a little bit. We talked about impermanent loss. It's very possible that if you pull out your tokens, you would have done better holding on to an equal amount of two tokens because of an impermanent loss. Or it comes out that you generate a bunch of fees and from drops, and you're able to trade it, and you end up making more than you would have. Be okay with either way. Whatever it is you're doing, be okay with it, and know that this is all educational and learning. You are at the beginning of a whole new technology. If you're just now learning about it, you're at the right time. You're not too late. You didn't miss the boat. I mean, we're literally talking about ecosystems that are just now coming online and getting legs. So it's an exciting time. Yeah, you mentioned, so here's Secret, Sienna Swap, Secret Network in the IBC inter-blockchain communication. They are the privacy layer, and we will talk more about that in the future. But privacy in the world of transparent public ledger blockchains is an unspoken trilemma issue that layers and certain chains seek and have sought to solve, and secret networks, Sienna is one of them. So this is a great network for allowing the exchanges of protocols and IBC in a private centric manner, and it's built in.
Yes.
So,
and the same process applies, right? Connect your Kepler wallet and add 50-50 to whichever pool grabs your fancy.
Yeah.
And in this case, you're earning Sienna, right?
Sienna is the name in this case. And I just show this because it's kind of CFI, secret finance, there another swap. And, you just really, you look Rune, a really awesome native blockchain with cross-chain activity. I mean, they're the main, what they do with bringing chains together on Bitcoin and Litecoin. Look at this. It's just, I'm bullish. This is a great protocol that's in the make. Monero, got Binance, Litecoin, a lot of Binance smart chain version. I suppose that's also to help keep fees down. So
sure, that's
interesting. So there's Sienna. Pangolin is very popular, like the Uniswap of Avalanche. And of course, we're going to also go through Trader Joe, but you'll see a lot of the similar icons, and where you want to go is over to Pool, add liquidity. And
of course, this will be a MetaMask wallet that you're interacting with on this one.
And we do have a video coming soon on Kepler and MetaMask, your two of your main Web 3.0 wallets that will allow you to really do a lot with most blockchains, but there are others. And let's see, speaking of, let me power through. So here's Trader Joe, another popular on Avalanche with like Pangolin. And you can see that one of the top, so you want to come here and look at the 24-hour volume. And look, I mean, this is 63 million Avalanche time. Time is something that we don't have time to talk about in this video, but you have done some research, and that is really a fun DeFi project in the Avalanche ecosystem that we're really bullish on.
Yes, that's indeed. And that MEM time pool, that MEM is another project that we're going to be talking about. That's the stablecoin connected to Abracadabra. And yeah, another stablecoin that we're excited about. So there's a lot to talk about here, but the Avalanche is kind of along with the IBC ecosystem, and Fantom is one of our favorite protocols right now. And these are some of the favorite projects. Oh yeah. So Fantom, let's talk about Spooky Swap.
Let's do it.
Here's some, so Boo, Spooky Swap, their utility token that you're going to earn reward is it's called Boo. And so you're going to be earning Boo in these pools. And that Fantom Boo pool is one of the more popular of on here. I think it's the one with the highest liquidity. And as you can see, the APRs, they're a little lower than what we're on Osmosis, but so it's good to have a little bit in each protocol, because you never know which one's going to be the one to pop. But here you have, wrapped ETH, and there's USDT, wrapped Bitcoin, Chainlink, and Sushi Swap, Curve. That Bitcoin ETH pool, obviously very attractive if you're holding those two assets. They tend to grow in a tandem of sorts. So that probably wouldn't be the worst pool in terms of avoiding the risk of impermanent loss. But as you can see, the trade-off there is a very low APR. And you have to remember, you're getting paid in Boo.
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention. I was just going to say, Osmosis is a highly inflationary token that even its native Osmosis token, when you stake it, gives 145% annual built-in inflation reward. So Boo, not having that high inflation, is going to naturally have a lower APR to offer in return. But
there's a burn function with Boo too. We can talk about that later. One Boo, as you can see at the top right, is $25. So that's cool. That's a nice valuation. So you're earning a token that you're getting rewarded in. It's going to be valuable and is valuable. The other thing I'd highlight is that Fantom Ice pool. is
Mhm.
one that I'm in and I'm a fan of. It's done well. ICE is the token connected to Popsicle, which is another one of these DeFi protocols that is cross chain. Popsicle is the chains that they work with is Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain, Fantom, and Avalanche, and I believe Arbitrum. So ICE is the products on Popsicle are still in development. I think there's an Ethereum Uniswap product there where you can earn fees, but it's all yet to be rolled out, but it's very promising. So there's a lot of speculation on ICE, a lot of interest. So I feel like that would be one to take a look at if you're not aware, if you're not sure of which pool, it's something to look at. What else? You can, you're rewarded in Boo. You can stake Boo, and you get X Boo in reward, which you can also stake, and you can stake your X Boo and choose which of these different tokens you want to earn. So you can actually earn Phantom or Shade or Die or and numerous others as well by staking your X Boo. So that's another option. That's another way to compound your gains.
And we'll get into more of that later, but that's similar. That's akin to when once you provide liquidity in these ecosystems in your wallet, you will receive something called an LP token.
Yes.
Now, over in Osmosis, we bonded that and locked it up, which adds value to their ecosystem for locked volume. And rewards us with a higher rate of return and Boo. But essentially, that's what farming is. Farming is taking that LP token, which is worth a fraction of that pool, and locking it up somewhere else, staking it somewhere else, giving it to another to make use of or to hold on to for a period of time in exchange for something of immediate value.
Right.
So that's, we'll get
Indeed.
into farming on its own pool. I have one more pool. There are so many pools to bring up really of different ecosystems, but and this one is still in beta and it's really going back to the Osmosis Secret Cosmos. But it's another really, you're in the beginning, and I just pull it up because it's easy to see how much liquidity is already locked up in these ecosystems.
And this just rolled out like what, a week ago or a few days ago.
I
There's already
mean,
this much.
yeah, it's in the first month, couple months. I mean, Emeris is still not, it's still in beta, right? It's still not rolled out yet, but you can see in front of our face that liquidity is growing in these different. So there's a lot of excitement and buzz around what you can view your whole portfolio from these different ecosystems.
I believe there's a bridge. Isn't there a bridge on there as well? Or am I making that up? I might be wrong.
You're not making that up, but I'm going to save the welcome to Emeris introductory guide to those who want to click on it and explore the pools and take a look more themselves. I feel like we've done a pretty good job at providing liquidity 101. Look for the volume. There's impermanent loss. You're generally going to want to provide equal amounts of both, what it is that you're doing, why you're getting rewarded for what you're doing. If you feel we've missed something out, leave it in the comment. If you feel we did a good job, leave it in the comment. Either way, hit the like button. And if you like this kind of content, how to provide liquidity, how to stake and get involved in DeFi, we've got some fun videos to walk you through Avalanche Network, to walk you through Fantom. We're going to go through it all, baby. That's how we're going to do it.
Yeah. So stay tuned.
It might
hit
take
that notification.
It might take a little time for us to figure out all of it. We've only got a few down, but we're working on it. So absolutely. And we can't learn it all together. I mean, by ourselves. This is definitely something that we rely on, standing on the shoulders of all those around us and that come before. So if you know about a project that's popping and beautiful things going on in the ecosystem for us to take a look at, drop that in the comment. We'll do some research and make a video about that. But until the next time, have a beautiful day and namaste.
Adios.